place around the refinery has since been lifted, but we saw some nasty dark plumes of smoke coming from the area at around 9 o'clock. Valero now says the fire is under control, but the cause still unknown. Our chopper was over at the refinery earlier. You can see crews working to hose down any remaining flames. A hazmat team is monitoring for potential impacts, and an air quality advisory remains. Hey guys, breaking news about this refinery fire, as well as Donald Trump considering reopening Alcatraz for some reason.
Maybe 2-3 minutes of footage. A lot of flames and a lot of black smoke. Everything was blowing across the straits over to Contra Costa County, so there was no danger being outside. We've been here 30 plus years, and it seems like maybe once a year they'll have a little flare up or something happens, and they get it out pretty fast. It's all under control.
Meantime, the future of the refinery is up in the air, and that fire comes just weeks after Valero filed a notice with the state that it is considering closing the refinery by next April. Just some time-lapse video of that smoke from the fire, which could be seen from as far away as Concord. Let's check in with meteorologist Jessica Birch for a closer look at the conditions.
Well, widespread throughout northern California right now, specifically over here in the Bay, we've been dealing with gusty conditions widespread, and we noticed that this weekend. The National Weather Service still has wind advisories in effect for all the highlighted zones and counties on this map, anywhere from the East Bay and Solano County all the way over to the East Bay Hills as we head into our 2 o'clock hour. That's when it's expected to expire. But you take a look at some communities close to where that fire is currently at, just south into San Francisco and north all the way up into the North Bay. We still have gusts anywhere up to around 20 to 30 miles per hour into the next couple hours. Now, the good news is we are seeing our models showing it dying down significantly into the evening hours tonight, but overall, those winds are still strong and moving in from the north. Let's head over to the map real fast, though. Another thing to mention, our daytime highs today, well above average for this time of year. San Francisco today topping off in the upper 70s. I was just out a second ago. Sunny as can be. It's warm. The winds, luckily, are starting to die down, which is great news. Those gusts still can get anywhere up to around 30 miles per hour, though, in communities like Antioch, Concord, all the way up into Napa, where we're sitting in the 80s today. Back to you.
A kayaker was rescued in San Francisco off the Fort Mason shoreline just after 8 this morning. A rescue boat brought her and her kayak back to shore. She was not injured, but the family member was able to call for help on her behalf.
Make sure that you have some means to call for help if needed. Many people will carry their cell phones in a waterproof bag or carry a radio that's capable of contacting the U.S. Coast Guard or calling for distress.
We are told that the kayaker was wearing appropriate safety gear just in case. A lot of reaction coming in after President Donald Trump says he is directing federal agencies to reopen Alcatraz as a federal prison, even though it has been closed for over 60 years. The prison became too expensive to maintain and has since become a real tourist attraction, hosting more than 1 million visitors each year. President Trump says his idea came because of all the pushback he's gotten from federal judges over the removal of migrants without due process.
They want to have trials for every single, think of it, every single person that's in our country illegally, they came in illegally. That would mean millions of trials, and it's just so ridiculous what's happening.
The president's proposal, of course, sparking immediate reaction. Veronica Macias is live with more on the likelihood of its reopening, which, as a prison, which does not seem that likely.
It doesn't, and good afternoon. Yes, we know very little details about the president's proposal to reopen Alcatraz as a prison, but already people that we've talked to here at the marina telling me that it's better to keep this an iconic San Francisco attraction than returning it to a prison. Now, back when it did operate some 63 years ago, we do know that it could house up to 300 inmates, we know. And we know it was also very difficult to get everything onto the rock as it's known here. It's not far from us here at the marina, just a little over a mile. But all the supplies that were coming in onto the rock, including fresh water, had to come in by boat. Now, the reason Alcatraz shut down, like you said, under then Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy was because of the island's isolation. It was the ultimate security prison and an ideal place to house the most dangerous of criminals, people like Al Capone. And while the president's idea is not being taken seriously by some lawmakers on Capitol Hill, who say this is possibly all a distraction from concerns about tariffs and the economy, the idea has been brought up before. Under the Reagan administration, there was a proposal to perhaps hold up to 20,000 Cuban detainees on the Rock. Plus, in the early 1900s, Angel Island held an immigration processing station for Asian immigrants. And the president's border czar has ordered already announcements here of an immediate assessment of the president's directive.
Well, we need detention beds, and we do contracts in a lot of states, a lot of local municipalities, so I think it's certainly an option, especially for the significant public safety threats, national security threats. I mean, should be on the table.
However, people that we talked to earlier today here in the marina say that they have been to Alcatraz plenty of times as children, and while they support the president's crackdown on immigration, they say they don't think this idea is practical.
No, that's our major tourist site and great for the economy, and then you go, oh, but it is a prison, but yet are there better alternatives? So again, I go back to the numbers more than the actual job description of it, because I think the numbers are going to dissolve this whole thing.
Well, I think there does something need to be done about illegal immigration. I don't think reopening Alcatraz would make sense because it would be too expensive. You would have to totally redo the thing, probably even have to tear it down and rebuild it. And then it's very expensive to operate because you have to bring everything over.
Okay, so looking at the numbers, and according to the National Park Service, the park, Alcatraz, brings in about 1.6 million visitors annually and also brings in a revenue of $600 million annually. So you have to compare the difference, whether you want this to be a big expense or whether you want this to generate money. People out here saying, keep Alcatraz the way it is.
Does not sound like that map is adding up. Thank you, Veronica. Meantime, President Trump would not say whether it is his responsibility to uphold the Constitution and due process. Those comments came during an interview with NBC's Meet the Press yesterday. Listen up.
Your Secretary of State says everyone who's here, citizens and non-citizens, deserve due process. Do you agree, Mr. President?
I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know.
Well, the Fifth Amendment says...
I don't know. It seems it might say that, but if you're talking about that, then we'd have to have 1 million or 2 million or 3 million trials.
This comes as the Trump administration trying to defend its deportation actions in federal court. Trump also pushing for tariffs on the movie industry, announcing on Truth Social last night that he has authorized the Department of Commerce and U.S. trade representatives to implement a 100% tariff on all movies produced outside of the United States. It's common for films of all sizes to shoot in the U.S. and in other countries, according to industry experts. One person is dead and a suspect detained in a shooting near 580 in Oakland this morning. Police have reports multiple shots fired along Arkansas Street before 7:15 a.m. and then they found one person who had been shot. That person died at the hospital. Officers detained a suspect at the scene. Not clear yet what led up to that shooting. The city of Oakland facing a major budget crisis and key leadership changes. Interim Mayor Kevin Jenkins delayed the release of a critical 2-year budget plan until today to address a $265 million deficit over the next 2 years. A delay gave incoming officials time for briefings and follows the resignation of Finance Director Aaron Roseman last week, who reportedly left amid tension over the city's financial troubles. Roseman made waves when she
that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys have liked this latest breaking news update. Till next time, everyone. Stay tuned.